While scrolling online, I saw this amazing art made by a computer. I was curious. I explored more and I found that AI nowadays is making stories, virtual friends, and even music. The world had changed a lot. Machines were helping people to create new ways of doing creative things. It wasn't just humans making art now, but teaming up with computers for creating exciting things. So I decided even I need to learn what is Gen AI. From that day, I started exploring things from the internet and I got to know a lot about Gen AI. I just didn't learn how to prompt a ChatGPT, but I learned how to make something like ChatGPT. Even I learned about images. So, welcome to my YouTube channel Bionic B. Today we will be talking about Gen AI so that whenever somebody is speaking about generative AI, you don't have to be quiet and you can also talk and join the conversation. So, generative AI is short of generative artificial intelligence, and it is a technology where computers learn to create things like art, music, or stories, or generate different images, etc. It's like teaching a computer to be creative. These computers can come up with new ideas and make things that seems like almost human made them. They learn from a lot of examples, like whatever training data we give them, and then use the learning to make their own unique stuff, like deep fake. When you pass on some human face to train a model, then the model can generate some faces which is not even exist in this world. Instead of just following instruction, they can actually come up with some new and original thing of their own, just like ChatGPT. If you ask ChatGPT to make a story, then it can actually come up with a story, right? So to understand Gen AI, we really need to understand where it is coming from. It is part of machine learning. So as we know, machine learning is divided into three parts. One is supervised, unsupervised, and semi-supervised. In supervised learning, you provide a computer with set of label example where the correct answers are already known to the computers. The computer then uses those example to learn how to make predictions and or do any kind of decision when given new or unseen data to the computer. Now coming to the unsupervised ML, these are typically the models where computer learns to find patterns and relationship in data without being given any explicit labeled example. It's like letting the computer discover hidden structures on its own. The computer is presented with data without any predefined answers or any categories. So its goal is to uncover the similarities or differences in the groups within the data. The common techniques in unsupervised learning includes clustering, where the computer groups similar data points together, and dimensionality reduction, for example PCA, principal component analysis, the dimensionality reduction algorithm. Then unsupervised learning is often used for the task like data exploration, anomaly detection, or understanding the data characteristics. So now if we talk about semi-supervised machine learning algorithms, these are basically the algorithms that combines the aspect of both supervised and unsupervised learning. In this approach, the model is trained on a dataset that contains a mix of labeled examples and unlabeled examples. Semi-supervised learning can be useful in the situation where it's difficult to get a large amount of data for your training. So in that case, you can make use of semi-supervised kind of models because it allows the model to learn more efficiently from the similarly labeled dataset, and then it combines with the large unlabeled dataset and try to identify the labels in the unlabeled data, and it can have more use cases as well. So now as we understand supervised, unsupervised, and semi-supervised, let's try to see where are Gen AI and deep learning also falling in the ML architecture. So deep learnings are basically made of artificial neural networks, which allows to process more complex pattern that the traditional machine learning algorithms can do. Whenever you have huge amount of data and it's very difficult for a ML algorithm to process them, in that case you can use deep learning algorithms to get the maximum from the data. Some of the deep learning based algorithms can be CNN, RNN, LSTM, GRU, and fully forward deep neural network, etc, etc. So now deep learning models are divided into two parts. One is discriminative and one is generative. So discriminative models are typically to classify or to do any predictions in the data. Typically these models are trained on different type of data set which are labeled, which are supervised, and this model learns the complex pattern in the data and try to do a classification or regression. For example, you wanted to classify a cat and dog, a very famous example in computer vision kind of applications. So it learns the edges, gradients, textures and patterns and features of cat and dog, and at the end, when you have given the model a unseen image of cat or dog, it can classify whether it's a cat or it's a dog with some probability scores. Now the second part is generative deep learning techniques. These are basically the techniques which can generate things from the given training data. If we give an example to this kind of algorithms, let's say you have designed a generative AI using a lot of cat images. Now when you ask the model, the prompt model to generate a cat image, it can actually create the image which is not even exist in this world. Right, it can create cats, it can describe what a cat looks like because it already have learned the patterns or the features of a cat. So it can generate images, it can highlight where the cat is located, or it can it can say that it can describe what is a cat, it can understand the distribution of that data, and in terms of language models, it can maybe predict the next word, it can summarize the words for you, it can give examples, or it can write poems just like ChatGPT. So now to summarize this, a non-generative AI models will have the labels like numbers or classes or probability score or a continuous number, etc. But a generative AI, the target is going to be text or image or audio, mostly unstructured data. So Gen AI can be supervised and can be unsupervised and can be semi-supervised as well. The training method of generative AI is really exciting. So the Gen AI can have a labeled data and unlabeled data and a training code which can create the model or create a magic from the data given. Now by learning those data distribution and the kind of data what we give, by learning them, it can generate new content like text, it can generate code, it can generate images as well, and it can do multiple tasks, as you guys know. So what is Gen AI? So generative AI or Gen AI is typically a artificial intelligence model that creates new content based on what it has trained or what kind of data it have learned from. The process of learning from this existing data is known as training, and it saves or it stores all the learning in a statistical model. So when given a prompt, for example, create an image of cat, right? It's a prompt. So when given a prompt, the Gen AI uses this statistical model to predict or to explain the response or to answer the question what has been given to the model, and it generates new content accordingly. Now how the Gen AI works? It all started in 2017 when the research paper known as Attention is All You Need came. It is based on the transformer architecture. So the whole Gen AI architecture is based on a encoder decoder combination. It's known as transformers. This can be a pre-training based model or it can be a newly trained based model. You can use a pre-trained based model in the transformer architecture and you can create your own Gen AI, or if you have any specific use cases, then you can get your own data and train out your own Gen AI based models. Now this needs a huge amount of data or billions of parameters, like you must have a good computation, also you must have a good coding skill to build the whole architecture. So some of the example of Gen AI models what we have seen online or nowadays is like Palm, the API for chat, or the Palm API for text, or BERT based models, or some vision based model where like Clip, VIT, GPTs, the chat GPTs, the stable diffusion, or the embedding extractor based models. So these are some of the Gen AI models whatever is available online nowadays. Well, with that said, we got to know a lot about Gen AI, but still we have to know the foundation of transformers to create generative AI. So very soon we will be learning more about generative AI by understanding the technical details of transformer based architecture, including encoder, decoder. We will be coding live in PyTorch. We will be creating different architectures of Gen AI and our own Bionic Bee Gen AI architecture. We will be training on image or text. We can do a lot of other things, lot of magics. For that you have to stay tuned to my channel and do subscribe so that you will not miss on any of my videos. Thank you so much. Keep learning.